SI unit. So you need to know what an ampere is, what a coulomb measures. So whenever we're talking about the charge, know that it's measured in coulomb. Then, so what is your data? So we have voltage, energy, and charge. What is our electromotive force? We don't know. It is the one which we are calculating. What is our energy? 2000 joules. What is our charge? 400 coulomb. So now we can replace. Before replacing, remember you need to check for what? Units. What are the units for energy? Joules. Okay. Energy for charge, coulomb. So now which means you can proceed. You say 2000 divided by what? 400, which gives us our electromotive force to be 5 volts. That is how you can answer when questions come on electromotive force. So now see, we have discussed what electromotive force. So next we are moving on to another topic under electric parallel and series. So make sure you follow my channel, subscribe so that you can have access to the video. So what is a resistor? So a resistor is a device which is used to resist the flow of current. So a resistor is simply a device we use so that we can resist the flow of current. So this is just a device used to resist the flow of current. So since we say that a resistor is a device used to resist the flow of current, what about a rheostat? So remember, when you are talking about a resistor, its function is just to resist, to decrease the current. But when you talk about a rheostat, this is an adjustable resistor. So what do you mean when you say a rheostat is an adjustable resistor? So meaning a rheostat, you can adjust, you can increase the resistance, and you can also do what? Reduce the resistance. So this is an adjustable resistor, but a resistor itself, you cannot adjust it. So these were the two things I needed you to understand on resistance. So now what are the units we use for resistance? So what are the SI units? So the SI units for resistance is what? Ohms. So the SI units for resistance is ohms. Welcome to this class. So in this class, we'll be looking at current electricity as one of the topics among the 10 top topics which are repeated. So I will need you to pay particular attention to this video. And before I start, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share the video to your friends who may be in need. And don't forget to also subscribe to our TikTok account and follow our Facebook page. So imagine how life would be where the worldwide, if there was a blackout, imagine all the power went out for a year. Meaning food, there will be shortage of food, there will be what? Hospitals will run out of electricity, machines, there will be chaos. That's why in our life we must depend on electricity. So now what is this electricity which we heavily depend on? So when we are talking about electricity, So electricity is just the form of energy which results from the presence of flow of electrical charge. So when electric charges are moving, as they are moving, they produce what is known as energy, which is called electricity, which powers everything around us, which we see: TVs, computers, your phones, everything. So they are saying that electricity is a form of energy that results from the presence of flow of wait, which results from the presence of flow of electric charge. Yeah, so when you're saying that electricity is just the form of energy which results in the presence of electric charge, so meaning here we have two things which we need to understand under electricity. The first thing is current, and the second thing is electric charge. What are these same electric charge which produces what? Electricity. Yeah, so moving on to the four things which you need to understand on electricity. So as you are studying electricity, it is not everything under electricity which you need to revise. So remember, you have less than a month. So under electricity, what do you need to know? So the first thing you need to know is, number one, you need to know what current is. Number two, you need to know what electromotive force is. Then three, you need to know what resistance and the circuit diagrams. Yeah. So if you want to pass your paper one, which is physics, you need to know these four subtopics under electricity. So this video will cover all these terms from current up to resistance. So our part 1 video will end on resistance. Then for our second video, it will cover the circuit diagrams. Yeah. So now to begin, what is current? So whenever we are talking about current, just know that current is just the rate of flow of what? Of electric charge. How the electric charge are moving what? In a current or in a circuit. So imagine you have your what? Your charger. So when you plug your charger to charge your phone, electric charge moves from the socket to your phone. So the rate at which those charges are moving from the socket to your phone is what is known as the current. So this is just the what? The rate of flow of electric charge. Yeah, so you have to know that current is the rate of flow of electric charge. The rate at which the time. So in other terms, when you're talking about the rate, they're telling you the time it takes for the electric charge to move from the socket into your phone. So what carries now this current? So current is basically carried by an electric conductor. We know conductors, we have good conductors and bad conductors. So conductors which can carry this current is, we have an example of what? Copper. So copper can carry current through out what? The circuit. We can have, that's why you have those copper wires inside your chargers, if you see, so that current is being carried from the power source, which is the socket, to your phone. Yeah, so now what are the SI units? So what are the units? The units are the very important thing which you need to know on current. So what are the units for current? So when we're talking about current, it has a symbol of what? So the current is measured in what? Amp, which has the letter A. So remember, current is measured in ampere, which has a letter capital A. So remember, capital A is for current. Then we also have what? Charge. So we also have charge. So remember, what are the SI unit for charge? So charge has SI unit known as coulomb. So it has the SI unit known as coulomb, which is represented by C. Yeah, so these are the two things which you need to know under the SI unit. So you need to know what an ampere is, what a coulomb measures. So whenever we're talking about the charge, know that it's measured in coulomb. Then what is an instrument which we can use now to measure the current of the circuit? So the instrument which we use, so we use an ammeter to measure current. So basically what we use to measure current is an ammeter. So these are the things which you need to know. And one more thing is that an ammeter is always connected in what? In series. So you have to know that always an ammeter is connected in series. So why is the ammeter connected in series? So stick through you so that you understand why the ammeter is connected through a what? A series. So moving on now to the second important thing, apart from you knowing the SI unit and the definition, you need to also know now the formula for you to calculate what? Current. What is the formula which you can use to calculate what? Current. So the formula for current is given by current is equals to charge divided by time. So remember, I stands for what? Current, which is measured in what? In amps. So you have A. Then we have Q, which is the charge in what? In coulomb, which is given by C. Then we have also time, which is given by T, which is given by second, sorry. I mean, we have T, which is time in what? In second. So remember, the way I've put it is the way you're supposed to solve this question. So we have an example with us here on current. So before we move on to our next topic, which is electromotive force, we are going to look at one example on current. So I need you to pay particular attention to this example. Yeah, so this example is saying we have a current of 2.5 amps flows through a bulb for 5 minutes. Calculate the amount of charge that flows through the bulb in this time. So the question is asking us to calculate the current now which flows through a bulb in 5 minutes. They want the charge now. So imagine this came in your section A, which is what? Multiple choice. So you can have answers like A, for example, you have what? 750 coulomb. B, you have 12.5 coulomb. Then C, you have 250 coulomb. Then D, let's just put, we have 450 coulomb. Then they have asked you now to calculate the charge. So how can you calculate the charge? So remember, you know the formula. The formula is simple. Current is equals to charge over time. But here now, where the tricky part to this question comes in. What units is the question giving us? So remember, check for current. Is current in amps? Yes, of course, current in amps. Is charge in coulomb? No, because charge is the one which we are calculating. Is time in seconds? You check. No, time is in minute. So if you just go direct and divide, or if you just go direct and find using these two, you will find that your answer is wrong. So now first, let's solve the right way. So what is the right way? So the right way is, first you need to write the data. So we have the formula, which is current is equals to charge over time. So since we are calculating the charge, we are going to what? To cross multiply. So charge times 1, we have charge. Then current times time, we have current times time. So this is the formula which we are going to use for us to do what? To solve this question. Yeah. So remember, time should always be in seconds. So we are going to say 1 minute is equals to 60 seconds. How about 5 minutes is equals to x? So you are going to multiply 5 times 60. So our x is 300 seconds. So this is our time which we are going to use instead of what? 5. So if you use 5, you get your answer to be B, which is wrong. Yeah. So now you put, what is our current? Our current is 2.5 amps. What is our time? Our time is 300 what? Seconds. Then if you multiply, you find that your answer is 750 coulombs, which is Q. So this is an example of how question on current can come. Remember, this is for section A. Your multiple choice question, you have a lot of questions. So now, after we have understood what current is and how we can calculate current, we are going to move on now to the next topic, which is electromotive force. So what is electromotive force? Yeah, so what is electromotive force? So electromotive force is another term which you need to understand whenever you are looking at current, electricity. So electromotive force or EMF. What is this? So whenever we are talking about electromotive force, what you need to understand is that electromotive force, this is the energy which is supplied per unit charge of the power source. What do we mean? This is the energy supplied per unit